Now please do ignore my cold. It's the sort of thing that you get in December, isn't it? But what you don't usually get in December is two new bikes from two big players of the sport. But that's exactly what we have got today on the 9th of December as I film this. We've got a fancy new aero bike from Colnago with a healthy press release, interviews, all the information you would ever need to know about that. The Y1 RS. A striking looking bike, shall we say. It definitely doesn't look like anything in the past. Kestrel. And the bike of the Team UAE Emirates squad. The other bike I'll get to in a minute because that's what the video is really about. But this bike is, well, yeah, definitely forward thinking, or at least pushing what the now new UCI rules allow you to do with bike design. It's claimed to be 20 watts faster than the current V4 RS, which I should hope it is, because that thing, when I rode it, didn't feel exactly wind cheating, shall we say. And they claim it's the fastest on the market, or at least 1 watt faster than the current leading aero bike at 50k an hour. Yes. And as for price, well, if you're on a budget, 12.5 grand for a SRAM red axis one with vision wheels. And if you've got plenty of money, 16.5 grand for one with Campagnolo Super Eco group set and Campagnolo Bora WTO wheel sets. Yes, I know, not cheap. And the frame set alone will set you back something like 6.5 grand. If you want to know more on that bike, I would advise you checking out the link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on the website, I'll put it in the article. Right, onto the bike that I think will get more people excited, because it should be a bike that is going to be more accessible price-wise to more people, and that is the new Van Rysel. It was showcased today at the 2025 Team Decathlon AG2R Le Mondial team presentation up in Lille, along with the new riders, 9 of them, including the youngest World Tour rider at 18. And a list of other bits and pieces, including Van Rysel actually stepping in to actually produce the clothing this year, because last year it was produced by Le Rosti, or Rosti Clothing, if I remember rightly, a French brand, who produce all their kit near Chambry, where the team are actually based. But yeah, back to that bike, the new RSR-F. They put a little video up, didn't give any information in it. They put a bit of an article up on their website. Not much information there. All it says is RCR-F joins the RCR and the XCR, which is the time trial bike, in the fleet of bikes that the team are going to have to use this year. Luckily though, I got to check it out, or at least the prototype version, a couple of months back when I was up in Lille at the Van Rysel headquarters, a huge facility where Decathlon develop, design and produce all the cycling equipment. If you've not seen that video, I will link that below as well. Very informative. But as for that bike, yes, I got a look at it, and it was the bike that was used, or at least the frame set that was used this year when they teased it at the start of the Tour de France, where they used it for the first 3 stages. It's got that crazy paint job on there, a paint job that we're sadly not going to see the team use next year. Instead, it's got a, well, team paint job. But as for design wise, this is their aero bike, which is interesting because a lot of manufacturers, Trek, Specialized and a couple of others out there, are eliminating their pure aero bike from their range and morphing their lightweight bike and aero bike into one package, such as the new Madone or the Specialized S-Works SL8. Design wise, this thing isn't as groundbreaking in shape and silhouette as that Colnago, thankfully. But definitely it has been in the wind tunnel, because they say they've worked alongside Swiss side, those experts in Switzerland, on aero gains, a company who also work with DT Swiss, believe it or not. But I'm guessing Van Rysel haven't just stopped there, because as I found out when I visited the factory a couple of months back, they also work with, believe it or not, their neighbours, the French NASA, Sneek. Because Van Rysel Decathlon don't actually have a wind tunnel in-house. Instead, they nip across the road all of 200 metres to Sneek and utilise their facilities and their expertise in the wind tunnel. I know, not bad having aerospace experts on hand. So yeah, that frame design, we have got a much larger head tube and down tube than on the RCR model. In fact, it's a lot narrower in shape, that down tube, than the RCR. Not as bulbous at all, but a lot deeper. And of course, all the tubing shapes are truncated. Rear stays, well, they carry over the design language from the RCR onto the RCR-F. Drop stays with that little bit of a flare at the top of them where the seat stays join the seat tube. The chain stays don't look any bigger than the ones on the RCR, so clearly there doesn't seem to be any issue with power transfer on the RCR. Clearly just translated that all over. But the seat stays are just a touch wider for those aero gains. Sticking with the frame shape, just like many bike brands now, that seat post is definitely proprietary. And as for the handlebars, I've had a hunt around on a few suppliers' websites, a few OEM websites, and I definitely think that one-piece bar and stem is proprietary to this bike. Nice flat top on there, and I must say I do like those drops. A little bit of flair as well, so you can get those levers tilted in. Weight-wise, we can definitely expect this to be heavier than the RCR, if they're keeping that in the lineup still, which they clearly are. The RCR in a medium frame comes in at about 790 grams, if I remember rightly. And I can hear you say, Dave, there's one thing different on this bike to the team bikes, and that is because it's got a SRAM red axis group set on there. Now, I do not think the team are going to be using SRAM next year. I just think this was used for that prototype bike. Why? Well, because the photos of the two team bikes show dura-ace. I can't see them changing over at all. After all, they could have easily announced it at any time that they had a new component group set manufacturer, and they haven't. They're not tied down to Shimano though, because there's only 6 teams in the men's peloton and 3 in the women's peloton who are fully sponsored by Shimano. Everybody else either goes out and buys it or has the team bike manufacturers supply the bikes with the group set. Right, I think I've covered everything. I'm liking it. What do you reckon? Let us know in the comments below. It definitely isn't as controversial as that Colnago, but if it helps the team to, well, more than 30 wins that have got this year, then they're going to be climbing up the rankings even quicker than they did in 2024. Right, that is it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching and enjoy your riding.